Hello everyone, this is me Garima Singh. I hope you are doing well. Welcome back to my channel Target with Garima Singh. Today I'm gonna discuss the last chapter of Class 10 Economics NCERT, that is Consumer Right. If you want to watch previous lecture, previous chapters, fourth one is globalization, then third is money and credit, second is sector of economy, first is development. You want to watch all the four chapter of prior chapter, before fifth chapter, all the four chapter. You just go and watch my previous lecture. You can go to playlist where you have find NCERT class 9 10th and just click on that. You just find the playlist, do watch from there. So let's move on to today's chapter, that is consumer right. I'll tell you the crux like I said in the starting of all chapter. Let's move on to the topic. So consumer rights, here we will read about the rights of consumer. Even consumer should aware about what are its right, and he can file complaint and get a grievance and get solution for that. So we will read about consumer rights. Let's move on to the first topic, that is consumer in the marketplace. So in this under this heading you read basically rules and regulation are required for protection of the consumer in the marketplace, as well as exploitation in the marketplace happens often, so consumers should be aware of its rights. Then markets do not work in a fair manner when producers are few and powerful, whereas consumer purchase in small amount and are scattered. This happens especially when large companies are producing these goods. These companies with huge wealth, power and reach can manipulate the market. At times false information is passed on through the media and other sources to attract consumers. So basically consumers should know its right to avail grievances. Let's move on to the next topic, that is consumer movement. In India, the consumer movement as a social force originated with the necessity of protecting and promoting the interest of consumer against unethical and unfair trade practices. More recently, India has witnessed an upsurge in the number of consumer groups. Even till 1970, consumer organizations were largely engaged in writing articles and holding exhibition. They formed consumer group to look into the malpractices in ration shops and overcrowding in the road passenger transport, as well as rampant food storage, hoarding, black marketing, adulteration of food, and edible oil give birth to the consumer movement and organized from, I think that is the 1960s, as well as adulteration of food. Adulteration in basically everything leads to the formation of consumer movement. Now let's move on to the main topic, that is what are the rights of consumer. So yeah, safety is everyone right. Yeah, first one is right which are provided by law, that are right of consumer. First is right to safety. So in this consumer have the right to be protected against the marketing of good and delivery of services that are hazardous to life and property. Producer need to strictly follow the required safety rules and regulation. There are many goods and articles that we purchase that require special attention to safety. Then next is right to informed information about good and services that you are buying. So consumer have the right to informed about the particular of good and services that they purchase. Consumer can then complain and ask for compensation or replacement if the product proves to be defective in any manner. Similarly, one can protest and complain if someone sells a good at more than printed price on the packet. This is indicated by MRP, that is maximum retail price. So no one can sell those items beyond MRP. As well as if somebody is selling defective or expired product, then also you can blame the shopkeeper and manufacturer for that, and can take action against them, those are selling expired product. Then next is one choice, a right to choose. So any consumer who receive a service in whatever capacity, regardless of age, gender, and nature of service, has the right to choose whether to continue to receive the service or not. Next is right to be heard. Where should consumer go to justice? Basically, in consumer forum, consumer have the right to be heard in case of a grievance. Then right to seek redressal. A consumer have the right to seek redressal against unfair trade practices and exploitation. If any damage is done to consumer, he or she get the compensation depending on how much damage has been done. If less, then like compensation. If more damage done, then more compensation. Basically depend on the degree of damage. Compensation is based on degree of damage. Next is right to represent in consumer court. So the consumer movement in India has led to the formation of various organizations locally known as Consumer Forum or Consumer Protection Council. They guide consumer on how to file cases in consumer court. On many occasions, they also represent individual consumer in the consumer courts. Then these voluntary organizations also receive financial support from the government for creating awareness among people. That is right to represent. So till yet we have read rights. I'm gonna tell you in just point wise. Right of consumer. First is right to safety. Second is right to inform. Third is right to choose. Fourth is right to be heard. Fifth is right to seek redressal. Sixth is right to represent in consumer court. Now move on to the topic that is a factor causing exploitation of consumer. Much more to discuss. Factor causing exploitation of consumer. Why consumer get exploited? Because of limited information, limited supply, limited competition, low literacy. What are the duties of consumer? Purchase quality marked products such as ISI, egg mark, etc. Ask for cash memo for the item purchased whenever possible, as well as complete for genuine grievance. Consumer must know their right and must exercise them. Then there is a redressal process, but there are demerit also. So what are the demerits of consumer redressal process? The consumer redressal process is become cumbersome and expensive, time consuming. That's why people avoid to go consumer forum. Then many a time consumer are required to engage a lawyer. These cases require time for filling and attending the court proceeding, so it's expensive, require. Then in most purchase cash memo are not issued, hence evidence is absent. Then enforcement of law that protect workers, especially in the organized sector, is weak. Then rules and regulation for working of market are often not followed. So these are the demerit of consumer redressal process. Next, I think here one thing is there, so I just want to explain this thing in detail. COPRA, that is Consumer Protection Act. It's come, I think, in 1986. So I'm gonna tell you about this act in detail to protect and promote the interest of consumers. So this act come in 1986, and then COPRA, third tier quasi-judicial machinery at the district, state, and national level, is set up for redressal of consumer dispute. The district level court deal with cases involving claims up to rupees 20 lakh. The state level court basically involve the case where the amount is between 20 lakh and 1 crore, and the national level court deal with the cases involving claim exceeding than 1 crore. Now, in case if a case is dismissed in district level court, then consumer can appeal in state and then in national level court. Thus, the act has engaged us as consumer to have right to represent in the consumer court. India has been observing 24 December as the National Consumer Day. 24th December. I think I should write here. 24 Deck National Consumer Day. Keep in mind, India has been observing 24th December as National Consumer. Here, this Consumer Day. It was on this day that the Indian Parliament enacted the Consumer Protection Act in 1986. That is COPRA 1986. India is one of the countries that have exclusive court for consumer redressal. There are today more than that is 700 plus consumer group in the country, of which only about 20-25 are well organized and reorganized for their work. So I think we are done with this chapter crux. I'm gonna tell you in just revision point what I have discussed. I have discussed the consumer in the marketplace. That was our first topic. Then consumer movement. I discussed right to consumer, where I tell you about right to safety, right to inform, right to choose, right to be heard, right to seek redressal. Then factor causing exploitation of consumer, because there is a limited information supply, limited competition. Most important is low literacy, basically lack of awareness. Then we did duties of consumer, that is to buy only certified mark product. Then demerit of consumer redressal. Then we read about COPRA, that is consumer protection. Here it is, that is Consumer Protection Act 1986. So I'm done with this chapter crux. On the next chapter, I will be gonna discuss all these questions one by one. So till then, revise this chapter, watch it again and again. Thank you.